Very good afternoon. You're watching NewsX and I'm Shivani Singh. Now in the breaking news coming in, Supreme Court has stayed Kerala High Court's declaration that the Munambam land is not Waqf and ordered status quo with respect to the property. The SC has clarified that it has not stayed the High Court's approval for the state's constitution of an inquiry commission with respect to the Munambam issue. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Sambhav Sharma with more on this. Sambhav, when we are talking about the Supreme Court and its new decision, it has stayed the Kerala High Court's declaration that the Munambam land is not Waqf. Could you give us some more details on this issue? Sambhav, if you can hear us, the Supreme Court has stayed the Kerala High Court declaration.
Yes, absolutely. The matter was before two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, the bench of Justice Manoj Mishra and Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya's bench. And what is most important here is that the top court, the Supreme Court today, state the declaration of the Kerala High Court that the Munambam property is not a Waqf land, and the order and also the two-judge bench of the Supreme Court has ordered and status quo with respect to land till January 27th. And this is what is the breaking news. And here the Supreme Court has stated the declaration of the Kerala High Court that Munambam property is not a Waqf property and ordered status quo with respect to the land till 27th of January. And the two-judge bench of the Supreme Court has clarified in a way that it has not stayed the observation of the High Court, which earlier upheld the state government decision to appoint one-member commission to inquire and also inquire this status, and also in a way extend this 404.76 acre property of Munambam. And this particular interim order, the court passed this order while issuing notice on this specially petition filed by Kerala Waqf, Samrakshana Vedi against the High Court verdict. So here an notice was issued by the Supreme Court, and also this was a special leave petition SLP filed by Kerala Waqf Samrakshana Vedi against the High Court earlier order, and the Supreme Court today has in a way issued notice one and also state the declaration of the Kerala High Court that Munambam property is not a Waqf property, and also ordered a status quo with respect to land till 27th of January. This was two-judge bench of the Supreme Court by Justice Manoj Mishra and Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya to pass this particular order. Now we are waiting for the detailed order, the copy of the order from the Supreme Court. Once we get that order, we will tell our viewers what exactly the top court has said in its written order. However, if we talk about what happened in the Supreme Court, here the senior advocate Huzaifa Ahmadi, assisted by one AOR for the petitioner, submitted that the High Court's observation regarding the validity of the Waqf deed were unwarranted as it was not the issue involved. And the particular writ petition challenged only the state constitution of the inquiry committee earlier, and the issue related to the validity of the Waqf deed. And nature of claims are exclusively with the domain of Waqf tribunals. This was, this was said by senior advocate Huzaifa Ahmadi, who appeared in the Supreme Court for the petitioner. And here the top court, the two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, Justice Manoj Mishra and Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya, states the declaration of the Kerala High Court that Munambam property is not a Waqf property, and in a way ordered status quo with respect to land till January 27th. We are waiting for the detailed order. Once the detailed order comes to us, we'll explain as to what exactly the top court said and what are the repercussions of that order.
Sambhav, when we are looking at this entire issue, a lot of residents are also involved in this entire case. We are talking about around 5,000 families that had 600, I beg your pardon, 600 families that have been affected because of this entire issue. Could you take us through the details of the rights of these families?
Well, see, what happened in the Supreme Court, I mean, what was mentioned by the lawyers in the Supreme Court is what we are, I mean, as of now, can tell our viewers here. But of course, obviously, as you have rightly pointed out, what the lawyer or the petitioner has said here, and which could be the answer to what you have asked. Here, Huzaifa Ahmadi has said, I went to the court challenging this inquiry by the Commissioner of Inquiry to say that by virtue of a bar enacted under Section 85, it is only the Waqf Tribunal that has the jurisdiction to determine, and what division bench does, it goes into my Waqf deed and declares that it is not a Waqf but a gift. And this was exactly challenged in the Supreme Court. And on the other hand, senior advocate Jaideep Gupta, who appeared for the state, has opposed the petitioner. And they have said that it was an organization which was only a third party. And he also pointed out, the senior advocate Jaideep Gupta, who appeared for the state, has pointed out that Uttavali of the concerned box did not approach the High Court or was not agreed with the constitution of the inquiry commission. And detailed arguments were made, and on the other hand, the answer to your question, where senior advocate V. Sitambarish has appeared for the current residents of the land, has submitted that the petition has become instructive as the commission has already tendered its report to the government. And also, here the senior advocate for residents of the land has emphasized that the residents are poor fishermen, and they were not heard before their property, which had been under their occupation for long, was suddenly notified as was in 2019. And also, for another set of residents, senior advocate Maninder Singh appeared in the Supreme Court, and he submitted that there was a civil court decree holding that the land was not a Waqf land. And obviously, I mean, these were the arguments. The two senior advocates who appeared for the current residents of the land have submitted that the petitioner has become, petition has become instructive, as the commission has already tendered report to the government. And other senior advocate, Maninder Singh, who appeared for another set of residents, admitted that there was a civil court decree holding that the land was not a Waqf land. And also, when the hearing was going on in the Supreme Court, the bench, in a way, wondered if the High Court was the right forum to go into the question of the character of the land, as the proceedings are pending before the tribunal. Here, a two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, Justice Manoj Mishra was there, and Justice Ujjwal Bhuiyan, the two-judge bench, had in a way questioned this exactly. In a way that was High Court right forum to go to question the character of the land, and what exactly Justice Mishra said was that you are left worse off you are before filing the writ petition. The question here is, if the court comes to the conclusion, this is what is said by Justice Mishra in Supreme Court. The question is, if the court comes to the conclusion that the writ petition was not maintainable, he could stop. He could have stopped there. He has gone much beyond its remit. This was exactly said by Justice Mishra in the Supreme Court, and also Justice Bhuiyan has expressed a similar view, in a way asking that the High Court could be appropriate. If the High Court could be an appropriate forum to decide these issues. And now the Supreme Court, after a long hearing, after a detailed argument, has stayed the declaration of the Kerala High Court that Munambam property is not a Waqf property, and also the Supreme Court has ordered status quo with respect to the land till 27th of January.
Right. Advocate Ashwani Dubey, who is the AOR Supreme Court, is also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We'll try to, in fact, however, reconnect with Advocate Ashwani Dubey. Till then, just remember, viewers, that the Supreme Court has stayed the declaration of the Kerala High Court that the Munambam property is not a Waqf land, and it has ordered a status quo with respect to the land till January 27th. My colleague has been pointing out that, in fact, apart from this, the bench, which comprised Justice Manoj Mishra and Justice Ullaj Bhuyan, have clarified that it has not stayed the observation of the High Court, which upheld the state government's decision to appoint a one-member commission of inquiry to examine the status and extent of a 404.76 acre property in Munambam. So, remember that the court also passed this interim order while issuing a notice on a special leave petition that had been filed by the Kerala Waqf Samarakshan Vedi against the High Court's verdict. So, this is basically what is happening as of now. The Supreme Court has stayed the declaration of the Kerala High Court that the Munambam property is not a Waqf land. At the outset, senior advocate Huzaifa Ahmadi for the petitioner actually submitted that the High Court's observation regarding the validity of the Waqf deed were unwarranted, as it was not the issue involved. The writ petition challenged only the state's constitution of inquiry commission, and the issues related to the validity of the Waqf deed and the nature of land are exclusively within the domain of the Waqf tribunal. Now, he also pointed out that the proceedings are pending before the Waqf tribunal, challenging the notification of the land as Waqf. So, hence these Ahmadi, who was actually petitioning, who was actually arguing for the petitioner, argued that the High Court has erred in entering into those questions, because they have been maintaining that this writ petition has been challenged only by the state's constitution of inquiry commission, and that the issues related to the validity of the Waqf deed and nature of the land are exclusively within the domain of the Waqf tribunal. Now, senior advocate Jaideep Gupta for the state also opposed the petitioner, saying that this was an organization which was just a third party. Well, we are moving on now from